is taking me. You know, once upon a time, it was a little kid named Devin Colston, Mr. 1707, as they would call him, you know, living in the Chocolate City, North and Longwood, L&D, Dukeland area. Good kid. All he wanted to do was go to school, hang out with the fellas, hang out with the guys. And as he got older, all he wanted to do was play basketball. You know, him and Trey Rose, they was the top 2 young kids in our neighborhood. We protected them. You know, we would always tell them, man, stay out the streets because y'all are our ticket out of this neighborhood. You know, that's how talented these brothers was. So by the age of 12 and 11, as he got older, you know, he steady played basketball. Then he started seeing some things into the neighborhood. You know, he started seeing the nice cars. He started seeing a lot of guys coming around with the nice jewelry. He started seeing guys with the nice things. And, you know, at that moment, a light in his head went off. A light bulb went in his head. And that's where the bad guys start controlling his thinking instead of the good guys. And what I mean, let me break it down. You know, a master in the Moorish Science Temple of America, a sheik in the Moorish Science Temple of America by the name of Grand Sheik Ronald Thornhill told me that the only reason that I turned out to be the person that I am is because I let the bad guys get a hold of me before the good guys. And let me finish telling you about this guy, Devin Colston. And the reason why I say from age 12, we pretty much know where we want to go in our life. So he starts seeing these guys with these flashy cars. He starts seeing these guys with all these good, you know, clothes, etc. and everything else. So eventually his mind started to trickleate a little bit, and he started thinking that, you know, I want those nice things as well, and I want those nice things as well. So eventually he got to high school, and, you know, he stayed on the path, and he stayed away from those street things, but the peer pressure started to feed in. You know, everybody around him at what steered to the street. You know, they were selling drugs, they was getting money, but, you know, he stayed who he was. He stayed that he was what? This regular old, you know, school guy. You know what I'm saying? So he stayed true to who he was. Excuse me, TJ Curry, you got to go to radioonfire.com. You can either go to their Facebook to log in, or you can go download the app radioonfire.com, TJ, to get in. And Diamond K will give you all the number when I finish speaking in a second. Stay tuned. We'll tell you how to get to us. So by high school, most of his friends was in the streets. And, you know, Lord Devin Colston, all he kept doing, he was fighting all his emotions. He said, man, all I want to do is be the ticket out the neighborhood. I mean, him and Trey was so good that we was betting $5,000 and $10,000 on 2-on-2s that couldn't nobody in the city beat him. Then eventually he let those thoughts turn into reality. You know, he started straddling the fence a little bit. He started going to school. Then, you know, he wanted to be in the street for a little while. He started going to school. He started being in the streets for a little while. So eventually the good guys, you know, lost, and the bad guys took over his thinking. So eventually this young guy that was so innocent from the age of 12 and under ended up turning to the streets. And ended up turning to the streets within maybe 4 or 5 years into the streets. You know, he have seen it all. Friends in jail for murders. He's seen his whole generation. This is no lie. The whole generation that he grew up with is probably 3 left. All of them was either murdered or in jail for life. So I sat down with this brother as he was going to college, and I said, Dad, what is it? What is it, Dad, that make you, you know, want to follow these paths for these young brothers? I mean, you see that there's no end for the street. We beg, we plead, Dad, stay in school, go out of town, stay out of state, just don't come back to Baltimore. But he wasn't hearing this. You know, by that time, his thinking was already clogged up, and he had gotten into what? The illusions of the world. And see, that's what the Satan, the devil, the deceiver do for you. He shows you things that are pleasant to the eye, but are bitter to the taste when you bite into it. So he thought that getting money and that street mentality was his ticket the way out, and he wanted to do the things that he did. And then that dreadful night of this exact day last year, I got the call. My phone was burning up, 4 o'clock in the morning, and if I'm getting calls from my children, I know it's not a good song. And I received the call, and my son was so upset. Lord was crying. Twan and them was so distraught. And they kept saying, man, they took Hefe. Man, they killed Hefe. You know, they killed Dad. And at that moment, man, I was crushed. And as tears began to come down my eyes, I dropped to my knees and I prayed to the God that I believe in, which I call Allah. And I said, Allah, can you forgive me? Can you forgive me? And I went on live and I asked everyone to forgive me. And I prayed the dead to forgive me. And everyone was like, why are you asking for forgiveness? You know, you didn't pull the trigger. You wasn't there. You wasn't this. But I beg to differ. Because I was that brother that I told you about in the middle of the story that he looked up to with the fancy cars. I was that brother that he looked up to that had the fancy clothes, the ETC. I was one of those brothers that he looked up to. And because of the bad example and the lifestyle that I was leading, it led him to the lifestyle that he was leading. So who am I to think that I didn't play some percent or so role in the demise of his death? And the reason that I'm saying that to all the young brothers that's listening in, I see y'all on my live. I see y'all, I know y'all at the candlelight visual right now for dead, man, that it's never too late to turn back. Don't let peer pressure and illusions of the world drive you to your own demise and your own death. Because Devin Colson was a brother that was a great young brother. Diamond, he never broke any law. He never broke any law until he was actually in high school and on his way to college. He got caught up into the delusions of the world, man. And he let those illusions of the world take him away from this world too soon, man. So to all those young brothers, man, that's out there looking up to those brothers, if they're not giving you the truth that it's only two ways out of that game, and that's prison and death, you need to back away from right now. If they're feeding you the illusions that you can be successful in that game called the drug game, the street game, etc., you need to kick the dust off your feet, young brothers and young sisters, because a lot of sisters out here following these brothers to their death. You need to keep the dust off your feet and keep it moving because they're not keeping 100% with you. It's only two ways to get out of that game, man. I've never seen anybody get out no other way. And that's either jail or death. And I'm just grateful to the Moor Science Temple of America, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the guidance that I had to get me out of that life. You know, I listened to Lil Wayne's song, and Lil Wayne said, all the things that I've done wrong, why am I still alive? And that's how I thought. Because they told me I wouldn't make it past 18 the way that I was living. You know, my mom passed away when I was 17 years old, you know, when the AIDS epidemic hit, and, you know, my mom was one of the first ones that got caught up in that raft, and it wasn't no cure, and it wasn't this. So I just hated the world when that stuff happened until someone told me that I had to change my thinking, that I was going through some mental things in my life and that I had to change my thinking. And this is why it's called Heart to Heart. You know, my mom, grandchildren never even heard this story. They don't even know why their mom passed away. My son is sitting here. I don't even think he knows. But this is a real show, y'all. It's called Heart to Heart. And this is how it's going to be every week. I'm going to open up to some things. And I see, Lord, there, if you online, man, if you can call in, man. I know you're going through it, man. You know, the passing of Hefe, man. But call in, man. You know, change your ways, man. Change your life. Y'all say y'all love me so much and y'all look up to me. Look up to the person that I am today, not the person that I used to be 10, 15 years ago, man, because it's never too late. And for all y'all that want to know what Heart to Heart is about, you see what it's about, man. It's unscripted, and it's going to be some things that we're going to touch from the heart of our mind to this physical heart. We're going to take a brief break. Diamond, if we can, play the intro. And then we're going to my featured guest for today, my son, D. Thompson. Stay tuned. Y'all call in, download the app, etc. It's Heart to Heart, baby. You're going to see some guys coming on this show, man, that you never seen before. I'm inviting guys who lived the life I lived, and, you know, then their sons was murdered in the street, man. We're going to touch a lot of topics, man, and we need you, the viewers, to be able to help myself, my company, a step above the rest, Radio Fire, to take this thing nationally, man. Take this thing to the next level, man, because, you know, I have to thank Allah, because he the one that gave me the thought. You know, I didn't create this on my own. It was my God that I believe in, that in my dreams, he came up to me and told me to come up with Heart to Heart Unplugged, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to play this intro one more time. I got to give this guy 5150 Reese much respect, man. This is amazing, amazing song for Heart to Heart Unplugged. Y'all can keep sending y'all songs, man. I'm going to give everybody some love. I'm definitely looking for an R&B version of Heart to Heart Unplugged by a male, by a female. Hit me up. Hit Diamond up. Lord Cuz Nut. You know you're going to have to come on here one day, man. Stay joined in. Your nephew, man. Be ready to drop some jewels. All right, we back. Heart to Heart. What'd you say, Dave? You trying to get on the radio show ASAP? You got that, shorty. Hey, that's nothing, man. You know what I'm saying, man? All I ask, man, is to change y'all thinking, man. Change y'all thinking. Can't nobody save nobody else. Stop letting these people think they can save you. All I can do, man, is guide you. Only person that can save you is yourself, man. So let's get back to it, y'all. Heart to Heart. I got my oldest boy, my son right here, D. Thompson. When I told him I wanted to interview him for Heart to Heart, he was all nervous. Dad, you gonna put me on the spot? What's this about? I don't do no radio interviews, because once it's online, you can never take it down and this and that. So this is called Heart to Heart. He don't know what it's about. It's unscripted. Every week it's gonna be unscripted. First of all, I want to tell my son the same way that I apologize to Trey. I want to apologize to my son, because when he was born, for the first couple years of his life, I was in and out of prison. I was doing federal time. I did state time. When I had him, I was 18 years old when I had him. And I think about 2 months after he was born, I caught 2 years with the state. So during the beginning portion of his year, I was in and out of jail, you know, and I want to apologize to him and just tell him I love him. And I'm just so grateful for the man that he became. Because the reason why I wanted to interview my son, D. Thompson, for my very first show, because this is y'all hope. Let me know so they can see. This is all y'all young brothers. This is y'all hope. Y'all keep saying that we're a project of our environment, that I forced into the drug game. I forced to carry guns. I was forced, you know, to live the life that I lived. And I'm here to tell y'all that that's not true. This is a young brother that's been around drugs all his life. And we're not glorifying anything, y'all, but it's just heart to heart. His father was into drugs all his life, hustling, selling drugs, etc. I'm not going to name any other names because I don't want to incriminate anyone, because I don't do that. But other family members in his life was a part of the drug game, whether it was uncles, cousins, brothers, etc. But for some reason, I don't know how he done it. I mean, he lived at 1704 Gertrude Street, in the heart of Chocolate City, in the midst of nothing but drugs, murders, theft, etc. I mean, dead bodies walking out of his house. And I never got to ask my son these tough questions. And I want to introduce you to my son, my oldest son, D. Thompson. And D, I just want to tell you first, son, that I love you. And I thank you for the man that you became. And I thank you for being so much better than I was at the age that you was. Thank you for not following in my footsteps. Thank you for not following in the footsteps. He got a best friend that he used to have, and I'm not going to talk and say his name because I don't have permission. But this was a good young man. He stayed in school. He even went to college, and now he's in jail for murder, and they gave him a double life sentence, and this was his best friend. And I was always curious, and I said, well, man, how is all my son's friends caught up in the streets and murders and thefts and shooting and drug dealing, etc.? And I asked you today on Heart to Heart in front of everyone, D, how did you make it out of that storm? How did you get out of the footprints of following the footprints of your fathers, your uncles, your cousins, etc.? For the first annual Heart to Heart Unplugged show, talk to the people and let them know, how did you do that?
How y'all doing? My name's Deontay. Everybody know me as D. This is a tough question, so just give me a second to really formulate all my thoughts together. I just want to say that initially, I was around everybody around the way. We was all having fun. We all grew up doing the things that we like to do. We even had different opportunities to do what we wanted to do. So that was part of the reason why I was kind of distracted from the stuff that was going on in the streets. But I noticed that as we got older, some of those same opportunities was leaving. So like I know everybody around the way, I can say almost everybody around the way played baseball. So that was one of the things that we was into. But as we got older, we noticed that just left and disappeared. So it kind of was a little hard because that was something that we all grew to love. It was something that, it was something that we all grew to love, something that we all grew as a family. So it was, it was kind of tough for me not being able to play baseball every day. So that was one thing. Another thing was just the fear of being locked up forever. Like that was one of my biggest fears because nobody want to be locked up for the rest of their life. So growing up as early adolescents and teenagers, we all been punished before, and we all knew how that felt to be punished by our parents. So that was one of the things that just kind of just swayed me away from a lot of stuff, because I know when I was punished, my mother punished me for 3 months at least if I did something that she ain't like. So just being in the house in the summer for 3 months was just hard for me. So I knew that if anything that I did wrong would put me behind bars for however long they decided to put me behind bars, that was one of the things that just stirred me away from a lot of the different things. Also, like just not having my father there all the time, I always told myself that I would never do that to my family or also to my kids, my future kids. So that was just one thing that I kept in mind as well. So about when I was like 14, I stopped going outside with everybody around the way. And it was hard for everybody because I was always outside every day. So they used to knock on my door and be like, you coming outside? And I'd be like, no. So I was making up 101 excuses as to why I wasn't coming outside. When honestly,
let me ask you a question. Since this Heart to Heart, and you can be honest with your father, during those period of time, did you ever, I've never asked you this, did you ever lean towards going to the streets, and did the peer pressure ever get to you and wanted to do the things that your father did? I mean, it's Heart to Heart. You didn't know, this is unscripted. I mean, you could be honest. Did you ever lean towards and wanted to go the route that I did and do the things I did and go to the street?
Honestly, no. Like,
praise Allah.
The closest I ever got to the streets was smoking weed. So I ain't gonna lie, when I was like 13, I did smoke weed, and I never told nobody, even my mother. So if she watching this, I'm just like, y'all know now. That's why I know so much about how I feel, because I was like 13, 14. I remember we was around the way. We was down the cage. You know how they had the little high green, little storage containers. We climbed up top of there, and everybody just starts smoking blunts, and we was just smoking. And everybody like, D, hit the blunt. And I'm like, nah. And they just peer pressuring me too. I had a blunt here, had a blunt there, had a blunt behind me. So I'm just like, forget it. So that was the first time I smoked weed. But outside of that, like as far as like the drug game and everything like that, we used to play ball or blocking around the way. We used to do little fake stuff around the way, but I never had the urge to really just go towards the streets. Part of it was because I was just scared of, like I said, I hate being locked anywhere. So just the thought of being locked up was just something that I always feared. And also my mother, my mother tore me up. So it was just like one of those things where I kind of knew what was going to happen if I got home. And I had the nosest grandmother in the neighborhood. So nothing got past my grandmother. Miss Margaret knew everything. So even if you was around the corner doing what you do, she knew. So it was just one of those things that I always just kept in the front of my mind. So outside of that, I was pretty much. Let me ask
you a question then, D. So what do you have to say to these young brothers that's tuning in, and to the people that's going to tune in that want to keep using the excuse that they're a project of their environment and they was forced into that way of life because how their parents lived, etc.? Can you give them some hope today on our first Heart to Heart Unplugged show. Someone that made it out of the depths of the ghetto. Someone that made it out with drugs, not only around their parents, their grandparents. Every one of your family lived that lifestyle. I mean, you lost what? 2 uncles, 3 uncles to murders in the streets. Your best friend is serving double life. Give them some hope today as we get near to the close of this Heart to Hope. Give them some inspiration on how those ones that are going through the things that you're going through, where your father was incarcerated at the beginning part of you being born, and you never wanting to abandon your family, etc. Give them some hope and speak to the young brothers that need to see that hope.
All right, so I'm gonna start off by saying I can't speak on everybody's life, so I never wanted to be that person that just post judgment on how somebody should live their life, because I don't know what's going on in everybody's life. So I do know some people that's in the streets because they really don't have nothing to eat every day. They don't have parents there every day. They don't have heat in their house. They don't have a coat. They don't have shoes. It took me into working in the education system to see that this stuff is really real. So I had middle school students who didn't have nothing to eat every day. I had middle school students who didn't have a coat. I had middle school students that I had to take home because they were scared to go through their neighborhood because of what was going on. So it took me to work in education to really realize that it starts early. It doesn't start as an adult. So it's a lot of stuff that go on that people just ignore. Like right now, I'm really upset with the city because there's a lot that's going on in the city that they ignore. But then it takes a certain event for them to just make a big deal out of it. And I feel like it's stuff that we go through every day that's ignored. So I just feel like we have to figure out how we can bring back those things that helped our youth, because it starts with them. I feel like now, as adults, you're going to do what you want to do. And it's one of those things where you have people that's 25, 30, they're not trying nothing you got to say. And I've witnessed this in my life because I told people, what they should do, and they weren't trying to hear it. So
that's most interesting. I'm glad you said that. Did y'all hear what he said, people? He said by the age of 25 that people are not trying to listen to nothing that no one has to say. And that's one of the reasons why I created this platform called Heart to Heart Unplugged, because who I'm going to start mentoring are the young ladies that's age 7 and the young fellas that's age 7 and up, because we have to get their mind before the bad guys get their mind. We have to change their thinking. And this is a prime example of a brother where he used to live, where my son lived at. You might have stepped over bodies coming out there every day, and we're not glorifying it. We're just speaking on what the name of the show, Heart to Heart. And he chose to be a much better person than his father was. And I'm so grateful to you, son. And I love you and I thank you, because you can be the example for the rest of your brothers and sisters. And, I have 10 children. I have 5 boys and 5 girls. And I want to tell all of y'all that I love y'all. And, I appreciate y'all, being there for me and, everything that you've done for me. And eventually we're going to bring everyone, on this show. So, briefly before I end with D, I want to shout out my man Reese. He is in the building. We're going to have to bring you back next week because we can't cut in between. But this is the guy that you're going to hear that stayed up all night, him and his team, man, making this song because I needed an intro. And, man, Reese, man, I'm indebted to you, man. No matter how big this show going to go, because we're going to go national. You even got it in there. You even told the networks to cut the check. This will be the theme song. You ain't got to work that, because a brother that we don't even have like a long relationship other than communicating, I was going to put him on some of my shows. And this guy took the time, man, to do something that meant so much to me, man. I just want to tell you, man, 5151 Reese, man, you definitely invited back next week because I want the people to see the man behind the sound that took his time, man. I thank my son, I thank everyone. I thank the Moore Science Temple of America. I thank Diamond Cave Radio on Fire. And for everyone, we have a call. Okay, caller, good. We got time. Yeah, we got 4 or 5 minutes. Caller,
what's up?
State your name and let us know who's calling in, please.
Boy, this is Half the Hustler calling from Pennsylvania, man.
Oh, my man Half. What's up, Half? Man.
Boy, we proud of you out here, B. We can't get there, but we definitely want to come up there. So when the Bottega boys get our shot, we got some bottles coming out there and everything.
Hey, man, this is a good brother, man. Half the Hustler, man. Him and his partner, man. They support me. We support each other in anything we do. And that's what it's all about, networking, man. I met this brother about 3 years ago now. And you know, people say, man, that it's not who you know, what you know, it's who you know. And one spirit recognizes the good spirit of another brother, man. I just want to tell you, Half, man, that what y'all doing, the movement y'all doing, and everything that y'all ever done to aid and assist me, man. I love you, man. And it's called Heart to Heart, Half. So can I go heart to heart before you get off the phone?
Yes, sir, brother. Let's do it.
I want to just tell Half, man, because I was going through some of my lowest points. And because it's heart to heart, I got to speak the truth, because I'm a firm believer that the truth shall set you free. When I was going through my lowest points, I had the thought in my mind of going back to the drug game and the streets game. I was at the lowest of the totem pole. I was getting my cars repossessed, BG&E turned off. It's heart to heart, so I'm going to tell y'all some things. And I went to my man Half, and I said, man, I went to him, I went to Hov, I went to my best friend, Poopy Sean, and they looked at me like I was crazy. They said, oh, OG, you walked away from this stuff 10 years ago. You too strong for that to entertain these thoughts, man. But I was at my lowest point, wondering how I'm going to feed my family, how the bills going to get paid, and etc. And I want to thank you, man, personally, for the world and in front of everyone, man, for being that God that I needed to hear. Not saying you the almighty God, but that ear that I needed to tell me that, man, I was making a very bad decision, man. And I want to tell you to the world, man, I want to tell you, Hover, Poopy Sean, man, that I love y'all, man. And I thank you for being man enough to tell me the truth and the help that you gave me and telling me, man, OG, that, man, you original, man, and that you can make it through this test. I want to tell the world, man, that I thank you for not letting me go backwards and not being one of those fraudulent ones that told me to go back to my old ways, man. I love you, brother, man. I love the whole PA, your whole movement, the Botego boys, man. You know I'm going to bring y'all down here anytime you want. Just want to tell you, man, that I thank you and I love you for that guidance, because I needed it.
We love you too, bro. And, just to touch on that real quick, you're an OG, man. So we've seen your passion in the fire eyes. And them words, man, that was just Satan speaking. You know what I mean? I'm a man of God before anything. I've been locked up. I've been in them federal penitentiaries, and there ain't nothing in there, man. You got kids, you got grandkids, a lot of people depending on you. You had a few family deaths I see recently, and the people, without you being there, a lot of people's stuff wouldn't have been able to get done, man. So, I'm always trying to be that voice of reason, man. I'm a thinker first. So, I appreciate you for listening, and I'd rather have you call me for come out to a show than to call me to put some money on your books.
Absolutely, man. Man, I love you, man, and we're going to talk, man. I'm going to the temple when I leave here. Let's set up what day y'all want to come here, man, and we'll have the Botego boys take over, man. Man, it's Heart to Heart radio. It's Radio on Fire, man. Everyone, let everyone know about this Heart to Heart. I'm going to let D say a couple seconds, man, before we go, man. I love all y'all. Next week topic, man, y'all better tune in. I'm telling you, we got a sister coming in, man, and she was dating hustlers all her life, and she's going to talk about how it destroyed her life. So everyone tune in next week, y'all. It's Heart to Heart Radio Unplugged on RadioOnFire.com. Say a few words, D, as we close out. When we close out, we're going to let y'all hear that blazing sound from my guy, 5151 Reese. Peace.
All right, so just to close, I just want to say thank y'all for tuning in. I just want to let everybody know that we need to stick together, because we all we got. So everybody just need to work together, help build whatever we got going on. Listen is all about listening. A lot of people don't listen. They just want to speak. It's about listening to what's going on, because we have a lot of different things that we can put together to help rebuild our community. So thank y'all for tuning in again.
Pop from the barbershop, my man, Biggie, man. Pop from the barbershop more here. Pop, be ready to call in next week, fam. I love you, baby. I see you online, man. I love everybody that's online. Woo, everybody I can see on there. Okay, Pop, we got you, baby. Peace. It's Heart to Heart, baby.
Yeah. You already know what time it is. Is it 5150? Yeah. Heart to Heart. TV, radio on fire. Tune in. Yeah. Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Call up. Heart to Heart, TV and radio. We be kicking new flavors to your stereo. Oh, who kill 'em? This ain't little Terrio. Conversing around the table like a merry-go. Yeah. Real talk, all facts only. No fakes, no frauds, no phonies. Nope. Every Friday at 6. You just gotta call in. Whole team ball hard, so we all gonna win. Hey. Big dreams.